Randall Williams, good afternoon to you and welcome. Congratulations on your appointment. I'm not sure if it's a poisoned chalice or not. Do you think the plea for unity that you've made, and I'm sure it comes from the bottom of your heart, is in fact going to be heeded?
Thank you very much and good afternoon. I think that it will, in fact. We've already got a good example. Others have learned from our failure. As you know, we had this instability in council that disrupted everything here in the municipality. And the same thing now happened in Joburg, where the ANC is now minority government. And for the last 3 or 4 months, they've depended on the DA to provide them with quorum in council meetings. So the DA did not choose the route of putting interests of party first and collapsing council so that the ANC minority government could not do their work. So I think the same thing will happen here. The same type of cooperation you have between parties in Joburg will not happen in Tshwane, I believe.
Mr. Williams, we've seen very ugly scenes in the Metro building, haven't we, in the council chamber? We've seen fighting, arguments, chairs being thrown, if I remember correctly. What reassurance can you give residents in the Metro, residents that are really upset, they've had enough, that it's going to work this time around?
Well, we already have an example that it is working this time around. One of the contentious issues that led to fights was the election of the mayor. And now, last week Friday, we had a very quiet and civil council meeting and we elected a mayor. So I believe that's the way we're going to work going forward.
Now, your first priority, or one of many priorities, but I'm suspecting this is on top of the list, is addressing the backlogs of prepaid electricity installation. How are you going to do that?
Look, that's part of our financial recovery plan. We sort of started immediately. In fact, this morning I appointed the mayoral team, and right now they're busy getting operational briefings from the various departments, and tomorrow they'll be in office managing their departments. Now, the way we're going to address the electricity payments is because just let me go back quickly. We were placed under administration according to an allegation by the provincial government that there was financial mismanagement. And one of the examples they mentioned was that our debtors book spiraled out of control. So when we were removed from office, the debtors book stood at 13 billion rands. So they said then back in March that they had to implement an emergency financial recovery plan. So after they've done that for 7 months, the debtors book is now over 18 billion rands. So clearly they've did something terribly wrong, far worse than what was happening while we were in office. So part of our financial recovery plan is, instead of having a post-paid system where many, many people have been defaulting, they consume the electricity and then they don't pay for it. So it's in our interest to control our debts, to do a prepaid selling of electricity. So that's the reason why we'll be fast-tracking it, because what we will get in return as a benefit will be far greater than the cost.
How are you going to fast-track it?
Well, previously there were problems, tender problems, because people wanted to, or rather the administration before us, before 2016, wanted to install smart meters. But in fact, what people received was dumb meters. So I said, well, that's good enough. We've got plenty of dumb meters installed, so that's what we will install.
Mr. Williams, that figure of 18 billion rand that you've just outlined is jaw-dropping, isn't it? At what point, then, are you going to introduce an adjusted budget?
Look, adjustments budget will take place during January. That is when we get an opportunity. But adjustment budget is when you look at your priorities, which projects are moving well, which are not moving well. So you can't introduce new projects in the budget. So we are now stuck with the budget and SDPIP plans, that budget implementation plans, and I don't even know if the IDP yet has been adjusted. We are stuck with the plans that the administrators have approved until 30th of June 2021. So there is room to maneuver within the plan, by us prioritizing one project over the other. And that's how we will fund our prioritized plans.
Just a final question to you. You've spoken about the appointment of your executive. You've said it's not going to be based on political party factions, but on expertise in the delivery of municipal services. One of the big problems we have in many metros, of course, around South Africa, is we don't, one, have that expertise, and secondly, you've got a very difficult job in refereeing around political factions, haven't you?
Look, I think it's less of a problem than in the DA, especially, than what happened before. You saw quite a few of our leaders left, people that no longer bought into the vision of the DI. They don't accept our values, our principles, and our policies, so they've left. So you don't have the type of factional politics that we previously had. So I was able to choose. I was given freedom of choice to choose my mayoral team. I chose a number of engineers. We've got quite well qualified staff. So I'm quite pleased with the type of people that I was able to include in my mayoral team.
How many times have you been on the phone to the new party leader, and what are you talking about?
I didn't have to phone him. He came to see me and to speak with me and to address the caucus. And he's quite happy how, over the 7 months of adversity, how we stood together with unity of purpose. And he was very impressed with that. And as you could see on Friday, all 91 councillors in our caucus voted for the DA candidate.
All right, Randall Williams, look forward to talking to you again. Thank you very much for joining me on Wednesday lunchtime.